Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new video. Now today I'd like to help you all out with an installation guide on how to get your Gothic 2 New Balance mod working, as well as the English version itself. So this will be specifically an English installation guide. However, if you want the German modification or Czech modification, there will be forks for those options as well within the websites that I will show you. So yeah, let's get started. First of all, you're going to have to go to the metana.net site. I will link them all down in the description for you to check out and for ease of access. But you're going to have to go to metana.net and then look up Gothic 2 New Balance. I will link this personally myself in the description, but if you just go to the website, you can just go to Gothic and mods, choose Gothic 2, and the most downloaded mods of the week will of course be New Balance, so you can just click it and you're on this page. This website is very useful. It's been also updated since recently. It basically adds a wiki for almost everything that the game has to offer, from all the guilds, their benefits, like Fist Fighter for the Path of the Damned, Necromancer, Fire Mage, even subclasses for Shaman, Druid and Poison Master. You can basically check out what they have to offer, so you can choose your build before you even start the mod itself. But this is just a wiki, this isn't really part of the installation, it was just more so a tip. You're going to scroll all the way down here and you will have the option to download. Now, in our case, for this installation, we will choose the German version, which will open up this page, and you will go to the installer/updater and download it. And then you can go back to the website if you want. And then basically, if you go all the way up again, I know it's a lot of going back and forth, but if you go up again, next to the installation, there's a small guide for it if you want, but it's a very specific guide. You can go to add-ons. You have the official expansions. Now, this is part of the German installer, so there's nothing you have to do here. But for the community add-ons, I would at least recommend to install Quality Faces for New Balance. You can skip Ultimate Armor and Weapon Replacer, the GTR, the Winter Pack, all that stuff, because these are all available at the installer for the German version, and we will definitely be enabling that option. But for now, Quality Faces for New Balance, download it and put it somewhere on the side. Next up, another important thing is the English translation of Gothic 2 New Balance. The last update is for 2026, 29th of May. I'm pretty sure it's been updated with the recent Adanos Warrior that's been released, so it's really a very up-to-date translation for the mod. You can go ahead and go to manual and download this version. And then you also have the English dubbing, which is AI dubbing. Now this hasn't been updated in a while. It's been updated in 2024. So if you were to, for example, play the Adanos Warrior storyline or anything that's been released between 2024 and 2026, it will just be quiet because there's no voices done for these options. So yeah, go to manual again and it will automatically download that. I'm not going to re-download it again because I already have it. But yeah, that's basically all what you need. I've got all the files here on my desktop. Now I've already unzipped the New Balance installer. There we go. And we have it here. And we open it up. And then click the installer for German. And then click installieren. My German is not that great, so I do apologize. But yeah, you have to install it. You have to choose where your Gothic 2 folder is at. And you can skip these options. Now, if you're not here for the English installation guide and you just care about having it in German, then I would recommend to obviously enable the German versions and then to not use the English translation folder that we downloaded with this installation guide because it's not needed. It will take a while, so just sit tight and wait for it to be done. Okay, once you get the green text, you basically have it installed and you can just close it. Next up, we have the optional plugins, which is definitely recommended. So yeah, there's a lot of options available. We are not going to install all of them though, because you'd be just replacing a couple things. Like if you were to install the Ultimate Armor Replacer, you wouldn't be able to use other texture packs because it would just mess it up. So in this case, there's only a specific ones we need to install, but I will show you which ones we need. So first and foremost, the DX11 renderer. So install this. That's one. We need the second option for the coast sound fix. We need the ultimate armor and weapon replacer. Alright, once the texture is downloaded, you can again close it. You have the Vulkan API. You have the SAIS. This is kind of like a very optional thing. I would personally not install it if you care a little bit about immersion, because it adds a lot of text on the top left side of your screen with a lot of information about the gold you have, the amount of learning points, how much XP is needed for the next level up, that sort of stuff. I personally wouldn't install it. This is more like a very optional thing. If you want to do it, I would recommend it then. But otherwise, you can just skip this. You can skip the texture packages. Install G-Raw input. Again, the Gothic 3 boss music, it's optional. I personally wouldn't install it because, as far as I can remember, the sound design, it's not been mastered at all. So you'd have like very quiet ambient music, and when the Gothic 3 music would play, or any other music that's not related to the original Gothic 2 game, it can be very loud and a bit obnoxious. So I would personally skip it, but again, it's a very optional thing. So it's all up to you. You can skip the texture packages. Plugins. Advanced inventory is a must, in my personal opinion. VOB locator, I would definitely recommend the older version if you want. The VOB locator is basically a way to see where every single plant, enemy, object is, even through walls. It's more useful if you can't find a specific object that's very tiny and it's needed for a quest, but otherwise it can be immersion breaking. So I personally don't install it, but if you want to use the VOB locator, then I would recommend using the older version. Most of these are very optional, the plugins from below. This is the, I'm pretty sure it was the font, to have the original font. You can have different rain sounds. You can change the jumping. The only one out of these options that I would get is the stand animations. This causes NPCs to have just random animations if they're standing still. It can add a bit of immersion, and it's a very nice addition to the mod. Now you can go back, and again, you have a couple DLCs like Eternal Breeze, Belial's Rage, New Karma, Path of Damned, Road of Trials. I have only played once with the Path of Damned DLC, so if you want to play a vampire guild, then you should install it. You have a bit of information about it, but you can find the information once again on the website. Personally, I wouldn't recommend to install any of them if this is your first time. If this is your second, third, or fourth try of playing this mod, I don't know exactly what you're doing in this video, because you should know already how to install it. But otherwise, yeah, go ham and choose whichever one you'd like to install. But personally, for newcomers, you could install the Path of Damned, but this is only useful if you really want to do that specific guild, because otherwise it's a waste of space. So yeah, go back and you can end it. Next up, you go to your Steam or whichever, or GOG, whichever you want to use for Gothic 2, to go to the local files of Gothic. Alright, so we have the scripts for New Balance. It already tells you where everything needs to go. So you can actually just keep it on the Gothic 2 folder like this, and then just drag and drop them and replace whatever needs to be replaced. Then we've got the dubbing, and for the dubbing, you will place it in your data folder. And the Gothic quality faces for New Balance also goes into your data folder. That's pretty much it. So you get the game running. Then you can start it with the new icon, or you can just open Steam, open Gothic 2, and then click the first option. And if you see New Balance pop up in front of your screen, then you basically did it. Now let's also start the game to make sure that the dialogue works. Alright, let's make sure we can hear the dubbing. and work from there, because there's still a couple more things we need to do before we're fully finished.
There you are again. I never thought the two of us would meet again.
So the normal English voice acting is still here.
Well, so I had fear, but enough of there's a...
What is this new threat?
One of the most ancient...
And that's basically the AI dubbing.
He is called the Claw of Beliar.
Okay, now that we're out and about, we have a couple things we should be still doing before we're fully done and we can play Gothic 2 New Balance. You can press H to find some information about the mod, the guilds, the difficulty levels, the Will of the Wisp, which is very, very useful, and I would recommend to get the Will of the Wisp no matter what. Some tips for starting the game. You get 5 pages to get a basic idea of how everything works. But otherwise, you can just check the website that we started with for more information, because it's more up to date. Alright, so if you press F11, you'll have the DX11 renderer. I will show you which settings you should probably turn on, which are very optional and it's just based on taste. But one of the most important things that I would recommend changing is the FPS limit. Now, my monitor is on 165, but as you see, if I move with my mouse, my character doesn't actually use the turning animation, which can be very odd. So bring it down to like 120. And if you've got 60 Hz, then obviously it doesn't really matter as much, but I would recommend bringing it to 20, and then you have the turning animation. I would enable normal maps. HBO Plus should be enabled. God Race 2, SMA. HDR is a very optional thing. I personally really like it. It does make everything a bit brighter. Shadows, the wind effect. Well, you can see this is the wind effects on max, but I would not recommend doing that, because if it is a very windy day in Gothic, you will definitely see it and it will look very odd. Hero effects objects. That's, I assume, the plants that move around if you move through it, which is really cool. And then enable rain, rain effects, water waves, and the draw world section intersections, and keep occlusion culling disabled. You can change the resolution scale, but honestly, just keep it at 100%. Don't use any upscalers. Gothic 2 really doesn't need it. Texture quality can stay on extreme. You can change this to borderless, exclusive, whichever option is better for you. You can increase the shadow quality. You'll see that everything now is very smooth. Like this tree down here, the shadow, and if you put it on ultra high, it'll be way sharper. Now, my game is absolutely beyond laggy. Alright, but if you put it on very high, it will be at 100 FPS. So maybe turn off the ultra high. You barely see the difference anyways. So just keep it on ultra high, and then keep dynamic update on full, and this can all stay on standard. Now, something that I personally like doing, because I've enabled the HDR, which basically makes everything brighter, is to limit the light that is given in the area. So as you can see right now, the HDR makes everything very bright, and this is very dark. This is, again, a very personal taste. If you don't like the HDR, just keep it off. If you want it on, keep it on. What I would recommend if you turn on HDR is to actually limit the light intensity, because it does make some places a little bit more darker, and it still has a very nice effect for that. You'll have plugins like Quick Loot, Advanced Inventory, which are all very useful, all that stuff. Okay. The most important thing that I actually wanted to show is the detailing and other. Now, this mod is full of flora and fauna. Like, there's just so much grass, bushes, leaves, trees, and whatnot. You can actually turn it down a notch, which is what I would recommend. You've got grass rendering and bushes rendering. So, if you turn this to 0, for example, this is how your game will look like. I personally keep it at around 50%. I think it's a good combination in not having too much and not too little. Just a bit of grass is kind of nice, but I wouldn't put it on 100% because it's a bit too much. But again, personal preference. I just wanted to tell you the option is there. That's pretty much it. that's the mod. That's why I wanted to show you, to make sure that you are ready to play the game. And I don't have much else to add. So I hope this guide was somewhat helpful. And if you have any questions, ask away. I try to always reply in time. And yeah, thank you all for watching this installation guide. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Peace.